Hi, and welcome to Say Grace, Food for Thought and Hospitality. I'm Steve Palmer, and I invite you to join me as we explore the stories behind leaders in the hospitality industry and beyond. Say Grace is a place to reflect, connect, and savor thoughtful narratives. Everyone has a seat at our table. So pull up a chair and let's discover the transformative power of hospitality together. Hey there, and welcome to Say Grace, where we unpack all things hospitality. Total fanboy moment. Somebody that I sort of stalked, and we'll get to that later, but who's become a really good friend. I'm so honored to have Will on the pod today. I'm going to read your bio.
I appreciate
Very
that.
Official. Will Guidara never envisioned himself as a fine dining restaurateur. Despite graduating from the prestigious School of Hotel Administration at Cornell University, he initially viewed fine dining as boring and stuffy. However, his journey in the restaurant industry, which began at the age of 13 and included culinary training in northern Spain — I didn't know any of this. This is cool — led him to redefine his perspective. His career path took him to Spago in Beverly Hills, where he honed his skills, eventually becoming a leader in modern luxury dining. After a 6-year tenure with Union Square Hospitality Group, Guidara, in partnership with Daniel Hume, acquired 11 Madison Park in 2011, where he took on the role of general manager. The duo's collaboration extended to the opening of the food and beverage spaces in the Nomad Hotel in early 2012, followed by Nomad Bar in 2014, which earned the top spot of World's Best Bar list. Their ventures continued with opening of Made Nice in 2017, a counter service restaurant in the Nomad neighborhood, and the second location of the Nomad in downtown Los Angeles. Under Guidara and Hume's leadership, 11 Madison Park garnered 4 stars from the New York Times, 3 Michelin stars, and in 2017, it reached the pinnacle of the world's 50 best restaurants list. Additionally, the restaurant proudly received 7 James Beard Awards, good Lord, including Outstanding Service and Outstanding Restaurant. Guidara and Hume have co-authored 4 cookbooks: 11 Madison Park, The Cookbook I Love You, New York; Ingredients and Recipes, The Nomad Cookbook, and 11 Madison Park, the next chapter. The latter, a limited edition luxe cookbook, featured hand-signed copies of over 100 recipes, watercolor illustrations, and photography from the restaurant. Guidara's approach to fine dining is rooted in belief that it's noble and important. He aims to infuse a human factor into fine dining, which is felt missing in traditional formal settings. His primary goals are to create best-in-class restaurants and to remind the world of nobility in serving. Guidara values connection with people and believes the importance of communication in the dining room and kitchen. He strives to ensure comfort for guests at 11 Madison Park and to instill in staff the understanding of service that transcends merely food. This is the longest.
By the way, this is not. I did not write this bio. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I would never write that much about myself.
I know. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to be here.
Me too.
Since I've told this story to you before, but when we first met in Aspen, and we were on that panel together. There's moments where you spend time with, or in that case, alongside someone, where afterwards you're just certain that that's a relationship you want to pursue. And I remember sitting there listening to your answers to whatever questions they were asking. And I don't even remember what we talked about. I just remember how your answers made me feel.
Either.
And I felt a kinship with you. And I'm so grateful that we've built that into a friendship.
Me too. I'm very grateful. I'm going to brag on you for a minute. You've heard me tell the story 100 times. So in Aspen, I think it was the year prior at the Welcome Conference, it was when Simon Sinek talked about the infinite game. And you, to introduce him, told the story of how you just kind of walked up to him and said, "Hey, can we be friends?" so we were in Aspen, and I walked up to you and said, "Hey, can we be friends?" And you know, what's special to me about you, Will, is all of the acclaim, the humility that you bring to your life.
Oh, man.
Like, everyone I know that knows you has the same — he's so sweet, he's so kind, And I think it's one thing for you to get up and preach, and it is preaching because it is the gospel of Will Guidara, and I'm at the church, man. But to be that way in every moment of your life, to be concerned about the people that didn't get tickets to Welcome Conference, when you did the Unreasonable Summit here last May, and we were there, the way in which you interact with people, it's very memorable and touching. And I want to drill into that for a minute, but your dad.
First, thank you for those words. I don't take it for granted.
I mean that. We had dinner in Las Vegas, totally impromptu.
That was an awesome
at
dinner.
Cipriani, which was so good. That's when you shared your song with me. But it means a lot to me. I don't, you know this, when you are the leader of people and all day long, you are the one that is problem solving for them, with them. And I've talked to this about a lot of leaders. It can be lonely when you're the number one guy. You're sort of like, well, who do I talk to? And so to have peers in the industry it's incredibly valuable to me.
You get to a certain, if you are lucky enough, if you work hard enough, if you're ambitious enough, you get to a place in the hierarchy where there's no one left above you whose job it is to fill your gas tank.
Right.
Which means you need to be more proactive and intentional in finding ways to do that for yourself. And
that's right.
And friends who are living shared experiences with whom you can be vulnerable and open, and where the relationship is not predicated on trying to impress one another, but rather to support one another.
Right.
I think is one of the most beautiful and effective ways to do it. And I'm grateful that we have that in each other.
Me too. And it's funny going to my first Welcome Conference, which, good Lord, 2015 or 16 was I actually said those words, I'm going to fill my tank. I want to see what I knew who you were because of 11 Madison Park. I had eaten at 11 Madison Park. But the Welcome Conference for me is like, it's one day of being surrounded by people that you love and admire. Even if you don't know them, you admire them. But there's this collective energy in the room that I feel like we rarely get, right? You have the stress of service. Then I'm writing the email or calling the person that didn't have a great experience. I'm going over a P&L that didn't look great. And, but just to have that moment. And they get better every year.
It's one
the
of my
sing-along, choir. That was crazy.
Wasn't that fun?
That was so good.
I just think it's important for people who answer the call to serve, who are constantly giving so much of themselves to pour into others, have at least a day where we can get together and put the world on pause and just lean into one another.
Right. And remember why you love it so much.
And like have the passion be reignited. And I look forward to it every year. My only thing I don't like about Welcome is that it's one day where, 150 of my favorite people on the planet are in one room and I don't even have a chance to hang out with all of them.
I know. But you're spreading so much joy that day.
Thank you.
I kind of rotate folks that I bring from my team.
Yeah.
So every year there's kind of a new group of people. And this year I had a guy on my lodging team, and he had tears in his eyes, and he's been in hotels for 20 years. He said, I've never been to anything like this in my life.
Gosh.
And you're just like, he was moved. We're not that close on a friendship level. He came up and hugged me out of the blue. And I was like,
all right, here we go.
Now we've got him. Now he understands what we're doing. How did you find food? Your dad, Frank, was the president of Restaurant Industry. They had 100 restaurants at one point.
Gosh, they were so big. And what Restaurant Associates was and still is, they're actually having a bit of a moment right now.
Good.
Actually. But it started as restaurants. So RA was founded by a guy named Joe Baum.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone listening to this that does not know that name, like go online,
Go find out who Joe Baum
and go
is.
learn
Yeah.
who he is, because
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like I remember back in the day in our office, Daniel had a picture of Bocuse on his side of the desk, and I had a picture of Joe Baum on my side of the desk,
Wow.
because Joe Baum was like, I think, the first great American restaurateur.
No question. He predated Danny, I mean,
by a
Wolfgang Puck, like
yeah.
predated.
And I mean, he opened the Rainbow Room and Windows on the World and the Four Seasons and a ton of other restaurants, like these iconic spaces. By the way, I have another point I want to make in a moment about him and them. But he grew this company, and eventually, years and years and years later, my dad ended up being the president. But at that point, they weren't just restaurants. It was restaurants and B&I and cultural institutions and events. And so I grew up going to work with my dad at his restaurants. I grew up working the U.S. Open every single year. I grew up in the kitchens at Lincoln Center and the Met Opera. And I mean, listen, my dad was my hero growing up. My mom became a quadriplegic when I was young. Watching my dad turn towards her and me in that moment, be a great dad and an unbelievable husband, and still work restaurant hours. I mean, he was a super hero.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I would have wanted to do whatever he did, regardless of what it was.
I love that.
Just because I wanted to be like him.
Right.
It just so turned out that I fell in love with what he did.
Right.
And I never fell in love with food, or rather in the beginning, it wasn't food that I fell in love with. I fell in love with food later. It was the dining rooms. It was the fact, and obviously I would not have articulated it this way when I was a kid, but in hindsight, looking at kind of the fire it lit within me, that you could bear witness to all of life's experiences happening simultaneously within the same four walls. I've always loved the energy, the choreographed chaos. To this day, I mean, I don't have restaurants now, but when I was in one of my restaurants, if I was walking into a restaurant in the middle of service, the first thing I would always do is just kind of walk in the door, go around the corner, close my eyes, and listen, because I think you can
hear it.
You can hear how service is going.
Yes.
Because I've done this my entire life, right? Like you can tap into what's happening in the restaurant simply by what you absorb just through the sound of it, the din of a room.
Right.
And I always just loved making people happy.
Me too.
Like my dad at a certain point, a very intentional dad, something I endeavor to emulate. He was very concerned about my confidence growing up with my mom's condition. Because I went to a private school where people lived, like, we don't all live in the same area. And so when you wanted to hang out with friends, your mom had to drive you to their house. My mom couldn't.
Right.
And he didn't want me to be the kid that always had to rely on other people. He was scared about what that would do. Maybe I just wouldn't end up having as many friends or whatever.
Right. Sure.
And so he moved us to a house 3 blocks from my high school and made it the house that everyone hung out at. And he did that just to make sure that I wouldn't.
Oh,
but
God.
The side effect or additional benefit rather of that was I was always the one entertaining everyone. And I just loved it. I loved designing my room so that it was like perfect and so I could create the conditions where everyone could have fun together. And so I discovered hospitality. I discovered my passion for throwing parties. I discovered the magic of gathering.
Right.
And then food was just a part of that. And so I invariably became passionate about that as well.
Right.
The one thing, not to have too many asides and stray too far,
good.
but the whole thing about Joe Baum and those restaurants, I'd imagine people listening, some people have heard of Joe Baum.
Yeah.
And virtually everyone.
Us old guys.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, you know.
But I'd imagine everyone has heard of either Windows in the World or the Rainbow Room,
Right,
or the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
And for me, that's kind of a beautiful reminder to everyone doing what we do that we need to remember our place in it.
Mm.
I think these days, and it's less the case now, but it was most certainly the case for a long time that you and I have been doing this. The era of celebrity chefs and restaurateurs and all this stuff. I think people, if they're not careful, can start to think that they're the protagonist in the story.
Right.
And the fact that very few people remember Joe Baum, but they remember the restaurants he created. I don't mean this to downplay our roles, but we are not protagonists, we are custodians. The people that do it the best are creating things that will outlive them and will be much more significant than their individual role in them. And I think it's just a helpful reminder in how we show up in the world to remember that one day no one's going to care who we are.
Right.
And that's not why we chose to do this thing.
That's right.
We chose it to create places where people could come together and connect. And if we do our work well enough, our output, the product of our creativity, will be remembered.
Right.
But the restaurant is the protagonist. No individual ever should or will be.
Right. I'm glad you said that. It's important.
I just felt compelled to say it.
Yeah, no, man, it's so important because, it's the soul. And I'm sure you've seen this. You're running a restaurant over a period of time. You go through ebbs and flows. You had to let go of a couple of people and you're struggling to find the right. And for me at least, I really realized that the restaurant is this kind of soul that ebbs and flows, and that I'm there to take care of it. But as my 15-year-old would say, I'm not the main character, which is what 100%. You're saying.
We, like you, me, the cooks, the servers, the guests, everyone, we are simply there to breathe life into the room.
And then get out of the way and let it happen.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's going the way we want. But I'm so glad you said that. Did you know at a teenager, like, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because for a lot of us, it was like there was a moment where maybe I was waiting tables. I was 22, and Chris Gossick, I remember the day, the table, the whole thing, said, Steve, this is before the internet or any of this. People go out to dinner to have an experience. If they just wanted to eat, they would save money and stay home.
Yeah.
And in 1990, that was
significant. Yeah.
You mean I'm creating experiences?
Yeah.
And that was my moment. So you always knew.
I mean, again, back to
given your household, it makes sense.
Yeah. I joke about this, but it has the added benefit of being true. When I was 12, my dad had me write a to-do list for life. And I think he was half joking, but also half serious. He's just, his entire approach to everything is marked by intention, which, by the way, it had to be in order for him to juggle those three roles the way that he did.
Yeah.
And I know that I did that because when I was in my late 20s, he gave it back to me. And number one was to go to Cornell to study hospitality. Number two was to open my own restaurant in New York City. And number three was to marry Cindy Crawford. So
I love that.
It's literally all I've ever wanted to do. And
I bet you've met Cindy Crawford.
Do you know what? I've never met her.
Okay.
And I'm actually grateful for it because I think that's the one. I've met some pretty cool people in my life, but I think I'd make a fool out of myself. But by the way, I think I did better on number three, and the wife I chose.
Heard.
But yeah, by the way, I consider it to be a blessing that I knew so early. Not many people get that, and it gave me the ability to just really focus every one of my professional decisions from a very, very early age and accomplishing what I was able to later.
You go to Cornell. How do you think being at a school like that versus just the school of hard knocks that so many restaurateurs did that? How do you think that changed the way you approach seeing the business?
It's interesting. I was just up there 2 weeks ago doing a class.
Professor Guidara.
And I was doing this dinner with the students the night before, and they were asking me some questions similar to that.
Right.
I actually don't. When I got out of school, like 2 years later, I didn't remember much of what I learned.
Fair.
But I was able to learn things so much more quickly than others because the foundation was kind of locked in there.
Right.
So like when I went into accounting 5 years later, I was just able to learn it so much more quickly than other people because I had a foundation of knowledge buried in my brain.
And that, I feel like that's the hardest thing to teach in our industry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, especially historically, owners that wouldn't share P&Ls. They were very secretive about, and I'm always surprised when someone's got 4 years of management and, well, what was your labor cost at your last restaurant? They have no idea. So that's definitely a head start.
By the way, it's such a short-sighted approach to not share the P&L. I mean, I
know, right?
I think like the charitable assumption for those who don't is, hey, I want my people to be on the floor. I don't want them to be distracted by this stuff. And yet they will be better at everything else they do if they understand the goals you are ultimately collectively pursuing.
That's right.
No, but the other thing I think I got out of Cornell was hospitality is many things. One is that beautiful sense of belonging.
Yes.
And being in a school surrounded by other people who were as passionate about this as I am, it just made it easier to, from day one, invest all of myself in it and not question whether, because remember, this is back in the day where like everyone wanted their kids to be doctors and lawyers and bankers.
Sure.
And so like when you're pursuing something and questioning whether you are making the best choices for your life, you're not going to give all of yourself to it. And then going there, I was like, no, this is a profession.
Yeah.
This is a noble profession. I can do well in it, and I'm never going to think twice about it. And so I think one of the many gifts of Cornell was just cannonballing into the pool and never looking back.
I love that. When you got to New York after school and you found your way to Union Square, did you kind of immediately know, because I'm going to get to this language that you have, which is so beautiful and articulate later, but when you got there, were you sort of like, this is my tribe, this is my people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Because, you know, as an outsider, Union Square was, especially 20 years ago, it was that was the temple, the mountain, you know.
Well, so two things. I mean, Danny Meyer at that point was the only famous cool restaurateur.
Right.
I like to use words like cool often. I feel like we get older, we feel the need to be more professional. We stop using words like awesome or cool. And yet, I think in that we are doing ourselves a disservice because, okay, awesome. Like, we're on the business of making people happy. Let's just make things more awesome.
Right.
Cool. I don't care who we are. We never stop completely being our high school selves, and we all want to be cool. We want to be surrounded by people that are cool.
Absolutely.
We want to aspire to be people that are cool. Like, let's not pretend that's not a thing and embrace it and use it for good.
Right.
And I think you want to pursue a career where there's someone that you think is just amazing and inspiring and cool that you want to be.
Right.
And Danny was that guy. He was the only person that was
Right.
that guy. But then Richard Corain, Danny's longtime partner.
I know Richard. I've met him a few times.
He came up and did a class. Organizational behavior. The professor was Florence Bergman. And he came and I again, I don't remember a single thing he talked about.
Right.
But I remember being like, that company, that's the company I want to work for.
Right.
And really, it was the only option for me. And I'm just thankful that they liked me back.
Right. Were you scared when you went to Danny and said, can I buy 11 Madison Park?
You know what? He is the one that had the idea.
Really?
So this is how it went down. We were employees at 11 Madison Park when the Nomad opportunity came up.
Okay.
But the guy, Andrew Zobler, who was the developer of Nomad, he wanted us, not USHG. Not because he disliked USHG, but it's a cooler story. Their first restaurant, right? The whole thing. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur at that point. I loved USHG.
Did you always know that?
I think had you asked me a little bit earlier, well, I know I wanted to run Shake Shack. When I went to 11 Madison Park, the deal was I would do that for 1 year and then I'd get to run Shake Shack. That was
Isn't that funny?
And then they came back a year later and I was like, no, I love this.
Right.
But so then I wanted to just be USHG for life. But at a certain point I was like, you can feel it in you when it starts where you're like, I need to be an entrepreneur. Like I need to own my own business. And so, but at the same time, we're halfway through the trajectory of EMP and I wanted to start my entrepreneurial journey and was not ready to abandon our project at 11 Madison. So I went to Danny and I said, hey, we'd like to do this over here, but continue working for you here. And he said, no, which I totally understand.
Yeah,
He's
totally.
like, I can't be competitors with you in one restaurant and then 4 blocks away you work for me. That will invariably lead to tension in this relationship.
Absolutely. I tried it once.
I tried it once.
It blew up.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I totally get it. But I think then we need to leave because when it's time, it's time.
Right. Right.
And he's the one that said, why don't you buy 11 Madison Park? And by the way, because Danny understood what I said before about the role of a person in the life of a restaurant.
Right.
Danny knew that 11 Madison Park was bigger than him or me or Daniel or anyone. It's something more significant. And it actually made more sense for him to let it go.
Right.
And I said yes right away. And then walked out of his office and went downstairs and called my dad and said, hey, how do you buy a restaurant and start a company?
Were you like, how much? What did I just agree to? I'd have been freaking out.
By the way, I was like, and it was, I believe in the way that I promote people is, it's always been give people responsibility before they're ready.
Right. Right.
When you give the people on your team stretch roles, they'll work that much harder to prove you right.
That's right.
And the best education comes in seasons of discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And that was most certainly one of those seasons for me.
Right.
But it, like many things, I always use the metaphor when you're at the top of a ski mountain, there's a bunch of moguls, you're not to get scared, you look down, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get down. If you put your poles in the snow and just push, you're going to get to the bottom of the mountain.
You are.
You might have a broken leg.
You might be in a stretcher, but you're going to get there.
You're going to get there.
Yeah.
And with very, very few exceptions, you'll be grateful for the fact that you did.
Yeah. Amen. That's been my story. What I find so, and was it hard to find the money?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would do this
unproven guy. And
well, also we weren't allowed to talk about it. Danny said, "Hey, you have this window of time to raise the money, not in an aggressive way, but
Yeah, I understand.
like we need to know the future of the restaurant. I don't want it to become public because if you can't raise the money, I don't want the entire team to start thinking and
Right.
then for it to be pulled away from them." And he's just so thoughtful and intelligent with all of that stuff. Like to this day, I hold him in the highest of esteem, and he will
Amen.
always be my greatest mentor outside of my dad. And so we had a window of time within which to raise the money, and it couldn't be public. And I remember that was like the season where I learned that a lot of the people I thought were really rich that were dining at the restaurant were rich enough to dine at the restaurant a lot, not rich enough to buy a restaurant.
Right.
And so I was,
Very big difference. Yes.
I just had no concept
Right.
of wealth.
Right.
Like my dad
Yeah,
was
I
in the restaurant
understand.
business. He was an executive for a big company. We didn't have a lot.
Right.
We were very fortunate, but
Right.
not wealthy.
Understood. Yeah.
And so I would sit down at tables of like our big regulars, and I'd be like, "Hey, between us, I've been given the opportunity to buy the restaurant, and I was wondering if you knew anyone that you can introduce me to," which was my passive way of asking them if they wanted to.
Yep.
And golly, I mean, I must have had that conversation like 20 times and got nowhere until finally there was a guy named Ernesto Cruz who was a banker up in
Credit Suisse.
In Credit Suisse.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'd be happy to help you." I was like, "Thanks." And went back to the office, kind of like frustrated, like, "I don't want your help. I want your
Right.
money."
Right.
But then it got pretty close to the end where the window was running out. And I called him. I was like, "Hey, if you're serious about helping me, I need help." And life serves you up guardian angels every
man.
once in a while.
Yeah, man.
And Ernesto Cruz was that guardian angel. He mobilized 4 people on his team to put together the entire pro forma, the entire deck. They worked with me to build all the financials,
Oh, wow.
put together my pitch deck. Then he booked a conference room for me 5 days in a row and almost like Mr. Miyagi'd me to teach me how to pitch a business. And I would sit at that conference room and he'd bring in other Credit Suisse executives and I would pitch to them and they'd give me notes. And the next day, a fresh batch, I'd pitch to them. They'd give me more notes. And by the end of that week, he was like, all right, Daniel son, like you're ready to go. And then he put together a list of investors. And I had my little briefcase and I had traveled to Beverly Hills and Boston and Chicago. And I probably pitched, like now, formally doing it the right way,
Right.
to 15 people, and had some hilarious moments. There, I remember I went to one really wealthy guy's house in Bel Air, and I get there, and his daughter shows up at the front door with no shoes on, and she's like, "Oh, he's not here, but he asked you to pitch it to me instead." I was like, "Okay, is this how this works?" And then eventually we found 2 guys that were interested and had a little process between the 2 and ended up with an amazing investor. And
That's awesome.
Ernesto also helped us finance part of it, so we weren't diluting ourselves too much through
Good.
equity.
Good.
And we got
I've
it
never
done
heard
just in
that story.
time.
That's really cool. I think it's so important. We don't talk about the business of restaurants enough.
Yeah.
It's not as sexy as this wine from Burgundy or, this dry aged Wagyu. It even hospitality in the context that you speak of so well is sexier than pro formas and food cost and
Yeah.
investors. But we've all seen so many restaurants that are full one night and then they're closed the next week.
But man, that's the thing. Like, I actually do think the financials are sexy.
I do too.
I think it's really fun. And by the way, I think it's a professional obligation to find as much joy in trying to optimize profitability as in designing whatever the menus, right? Like
Will Guidara said this, ladies and gentlemen.
if you
seriously.
shift your perspective, it can be
Yeah.
fun. Like, I think you can gamify making money and make it a really fun part of it, because otherwise, I mean, this is not my line. I've heard it many times before. Like, if you're not making money, like, invite people over to your house for dinner.
That's right.
Right? Like, this is
less
a business.
painful.
It's a business.
Yeah, it is.
And we should derive pleasure out of making money. I think it's so interesting in our world. Like, no one, it's almost like you're not supposed to make money in restaurants.
I know. It's so weird.
No one gets upset at Ford if they're profiting off the F-150, and yet if you're making money off a piece of beef, people are like, "You greedy son of a bitch."
You know, tech companies can scale.
Yeah.
We've lived in this era of Silicon Valley, and oh my God, their IPO, and like,
you work this hard. It's okay to want to make some money while you're doing it.
It's okay to make money.
And I actually think it's irresponsible not to.
I agree. I'm so glad you said that. I didn't script that. We don't talk enough about the business of food. And I got a call from a friend who's a customer, and he's a good friend, and he's mad because I've never let him invest. And I'm like, we're friends.
Yeah,
and that's so much more sacred to me than, because this cannot work in a heartbeat. But he found another chef and he called me and he's like, do you think I should invest? And I said, have you seen a performa?
Yeah.
Crickets. I'm like, then no, I don't think you should invest. If you do not have a business plan going into this.
Dude, I was talking to someone who was trying to raise money. They were asking me for advice. I said, all right, well, what's the IRR? Like, what return are you promising people? He's like, well, they're going to get their money back in like 3 to 7 years. I was like, no. What's the return? It's a number that I'm looking for. Yeah. What are you showing people?
Right.
And that's the thing. I don't blame people. I just don't think many people. I mean, I wouldn't have known how to do that were it not for Ernesto.
Yeah.
And it's something that someone needs to figure out how to just do basic education around this stuff. Because, by the way, it's not that complicated.
No.
You just need someone to teach you.
You got it and you understand. What I find fascinating about you is awards are important and we want them and they're great, but they're kind of arbitrary in their process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're super secretive. Michelin, like, you don't know. So for you to say we're going to be the #1 restaurant in the world, it's not like there's you can download the guide of this is what you need to do. How did you know you were going to win, or you just knew you were going to try like hell?
I mean, I think it's one of the superpowers of youth.
Okay. How old were you when you were?
So I was 24 when I became the general manager at 11 Madison.
Holy crap! I didn't realize you were that young.
And I was in my late 30s when we became #1, maybe 36.
Okay.
And I think I like to talk about superpowers because I think everyone needs to understand what theirs are at various, just generally, everyone has superpowers.
Right, sure.
But then I think we also have superpowers at different seasons in life. And in the absence of naming our superpowers, we have an inability to leverage them fully.
Okay. So it's important to name your superpowers.
100%. It's important, which is hard for people in our industry, especially those of us in the dining room, because I think we celebrate humility. And yet naming your own superpowers feels the very opposite of humble.
Right.
But I actually think it does require humility, because the moment you have to say in front of other people, I am really good at this, you are inviting them to say, I mean, really? Are you?
You're inviting the criticism.
Exactly. So it's actually a vulnerable thing to do.
Very, very.
But I think when you are young, you have a couple different superpowers. One is a beginner's mindset, where you are not so laden with experience that you have an inability to look at something through a fresh set of eyes and identify how it could be done differently than it's been done in the past. 2 is that you're willing to take bigger risks.
Right.
Because you have much less to lose. And 3, you have a confidence that the more you learn about the world, the more of life you experience is harder to fully tap into.
To have that, yeah.
If you've ever, not to continue using skiing metaphors, but if you've ever seen like a an 8-year-old ski.
No fear.
They've never broken a bone on the ski slope. They're going to do things that we are not going to do.
Yeah.
And so I genuinely believed with every ounce of my being that we would become number one. Then it was about just how to accomplish it. And I think with any big goal, there's always two ways in. One, to just build the best thing you possibly can using your own unique point of view and trying to be the most excellent version
Right.
of yourself and build the most excellent version of that thing. While also adding something to the conversation.
Sure.
But then too, to like take playing the game as seriously as you take trying to build that thing.
Right.
At any of these awards, I think there's so many people who don't want to play the game and then they get frustrated that they don't win it.
Right.
You have to play the game
You
in
have
order to win
play.
it.
Can't win if you don't play.
And you need to understand the rules of the game.
Right.
You need to invest as much of yourself into that as you are building the team that has the chance of winning.
Right.
And so I try to do both of those simultaneously with that specific award, recognizing that the awards are beautiful motivations.
Yeah.
Especially when you are leading a team. It's great to have
Yes.
a tangible goal to pursue, while also realizing that they are not destinations, they are motivations. And if you are able to delineate those two things, understand that they're not one and the same, I think that's when you are truly called to greatness. The award is not the goal.
Right.
The award is the motivation for the goal, which is to try to just be the best version of yourself and hopefully in doing so change the conversation a little bit.
The infinite journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I talk about that a lot. How gratifying was it to win?
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah.
I just think when you give all of yourself for such a long period of time,
Right.
and then those efforts are validated, you need to give yourself the grace to celebrate.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the idea that there's one restaurant that is the best in the world is inherently insane.
Right.
There's too many. It's too subjective. What I
Right.
do believe, though, at least then, I mean, now once you win it once, you're not even in contention anymore. So it's changed a little bit.
I didn't realize that.
But then whether it was El Bouilly or Noma or the French Laundry, like when you earn the top spot, what it means is you're the restaurant having the greatest impact on the world of restaurants. And so for me especially, I mean, we became number one because of our approach to hospitality and the idea that hospitality could take center stage at those awards, which to that point had always been just about the food.
Right.
Had you asked me back then what my goals in my career were, I would have said it's twofold. I want to build the best restaurants I possibly can, and I want to make hospitality cool. I don't want it to be subordinate to what's happening in the kitchen. I want it to
Right.
be just as cool.
Right.
And I say that because if you don't make something cool, the best and brightest won't want to pursue it as a career. And if we could, in this little patch of dirt, make it cooler to want to be in the dining room, then more great people would want to work in dining rooms.
Amen.
And so that was the most validating part about becoming number one, was it showed that part was working.
How did you know the whole dream weaving thing, which we've adopted at all 38 of our
Which you guys are
restaurants?
doing so unbelievably
It's
well.
so much fun. And the staff, back to your point, they find so much reward in it that, like, I just get to watch.
That's one of my favorite follows now.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it really is everywhere. It's everywhere. And they start to outdo each other, gamifying. How did that come to you? This idea, dream weaving, is what you, and obviously this is all in your incredible book. But how did that come to you?
I mean, like most.
Is that just kind of who you are? You like to, because you're really good at gift giving, and the gift I got at the speaker's dinner, I still have not figured out. I'll get to that later, but I don't want to make this about me. So, how did you know that? How did that come to you?
I think most things it was iterative. Yeah, I do love giving gifts, but I think most people do. Honestly, like there's very few people out there. If you ask them in the holidays, do you like receiving gifts, or if you get the perfect gift for someone in your life,
Yeah,
and you get to watch them and their reaction when they open it, like which do you like better?
right.
I think most people actually prefer the latter.
Totally.
There are some people who just want to get cool stuff, but
I'm not good at receiving, so I very much would rather.
And it's the best thing,
the
right?
best
It's so
thing.
fun.
Yeah.
So I've always loved it. And it was just over time. And by the way, I worked at Danny Meyer where that was already
Right. The gift.
I mean, my role was just, I think what I did was take what was happening at USHG and just like spray a bunch of lighter fluid on it.
So yeah, you turbocharged it.
And the hot dog story, which is the big one, was where I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's something here. And I think where it started to become more of a thing was when we systemized it a bit more.
Right.
I said, we can wait for these things to happen accidentally, or we can invest in them and put resources behind them, because nothing will fully take root in the absence of resource.
Right.
And so whether that was the addition of the position, the Dreamweaver, so that it could happen more consistently, or building toolkits, or creating an entire system that made it easier for our team to deploy.
We have closets now,
filled. Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we have they go out shopping once a week now.
100%.
It's wild.
And by the way, everyone should.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and it's such like the financial. It's not doesn't impact us at all.
And in fact, it probably does, but in the other direction.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, the hot dog story, which showed up in the episode of The Bear, as a Chicago deep dish. I thought that was so funny. About the time you and I met, I remember a conversation in Aspen, actually, when we first met. The first time we ever had coffee, I had been to, of course, Nomad in New York many, many times. I still want to figure out how to replicate that chicken.
Man, that's so good.
Holy crap. The foie gras with truffles. It was, and you had said, man, I've got a place in LA. I'm getting tired of traveling. I really been thinking about living in the Hudson Valley. Like, I think it was, you were just sort of starting to, and then of course you sold out of your partnership and the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
When did you know? Because we were seeing each other on Zoom on the IRC, and I remember you had said, I'm out raising money to start my own restaurant group or something around that, and then you weren't. When did that moment shift for you? Then you weren't. Were you already writing Unreasonable Hospitality,
No.
or that came because of COVID?
That came because, well, okay, so you mentioned Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
So Simon Sinek, by the way, the story of him getting to Welcome is so funny. He came into 11 Madison, and at that point I didn't know who he was, and I was not at the restaurant that night. And I got a text from one of my Psalms saying, dude, Simon Sinek is in the restaurant. I was like, who's Simon Sinek?
Right.
He's like, go down a rabbit hole. I guarantee you he's going to be one of your favorite people in the world. And so I don't even know where I was, but I looked up one of his videos in the moment, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is like,
yeah.
And so I texted him back. I was like, crush him, which was our internal language for like, make sure that he leaves having had one of the best meals of his entire life. And the Psalm, his name was Andrew. He did that. And the next day, then I went down a crazy rabbit hole with Simon that night.
Right.
I like had a glass of wine. I was just watching.
Right.
And the next day I said to my assistant, I was like, you need to get me Simon's email. And I emailed Simon. I was like, hey, my name is Will. I own 11 Madison Park. You were there last night. I'm so sorry I missed you. Hope you enjoyed it. And he wrote back. He's like, it was an amazing meal. Would love to meet you at some point. And I was like, there we go.
There it is.
So
I got it.
So I met him at the library of Nomad. He brought his sister and we hung out for a little bit. And then I made the ask to speak at Welcome. And he said, all right, thank you. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you, which was very clearly no, but I'm not going to tell you no right now.
Right. It's a polite no.
Exactly. So then I reached out to all of the managers because at this point now we had restaurants in Aspen and the Hamptons and a bunch of places.
Yeah.
I said, hey, if anyone ever sees this guy, and I sent a picture, I was like, I want to know right away. And so like 4 or 5 months later, I get a text from someone in Aspen and he had just sat down at the Winter House. But not under his name. So he was there with someone else.
Okay.
It was a 6-top in the dining room. And their meal ends. And the manager goes over and says, Mr. Cynic, your dinner's with Will Guidara's compliments. And he turns to his sister and he goes, I guess I'm speaking at the fucking Welcome conference.
I love that.
So then he ended up speaking. And he and I really hit it off. 2 years later, he has this salon. He does it annually, I think still, called Massive in Aspen.
Okay.
And he puts together 20 people. It's not a conference. It's just those 20 people together at this very wealthy guy's house. And it's like a think tank. And every year there's a theme and people talk about it. And the year I went, he invited me. The theme was loyalty. And he asked me, 3 people speak every year. And so he asked me to speak. And so I spoke. And at the end of my talk, Simon and his publisher came up and said, you got to write a book. Like, that's a book. And I said, I'm so honored. I'm quite busy.
Right.
Thank you, but no thank you. Fast forward a year or 2 or whatever, I sold the company. Had a day or 2 of celebration. And then woke up 3 days later in a full-on identity crisis. I am Will Guidara, the New York City restaurateur. I am nothing without restaurants. And started manically, frantically raising money, putting together a team to open. I had some pretty cool restaurants that we were working on. We found 3 locations, had the 3 chefs, fully designed one of the restaurants.
Oh, wow.
And I was a week away from signing all 3 leases when COVID hit.
Thank God you didn't sign 3 leases.
Oh my goodness. We moved up to the country to our house up there for a couple weeks, kept everything warm. A few weeks turned into a few months, kept everything warm. That's when the IRC started.
Yeah.
I think everyone can look back on COVID with remorse. Obviously, we lost a lot of stuff, lost a lot of people. It was a hard season. I think most people I know can also look back on that season with gratitude for at least one thing.
Absolutely.
It gave us gifts.
100%.
Whether that was a reminder of just family dinner or whatever it is, like the gift, the biggest gift I was given was COVID gave me the grace to press pause. And to rather than run back to doing exactly what I had done, to take the time to decide what I wanted to do next. So eventually I said, all right, hold on. I haven't even spent any time looking forward. I was just so scared.
Right.
That I started frantically trying to run backwards almost. Right. And so I wrote the book then. Mostly because I felt like if I re-walked down the road I'd just been down, it would help me figure out where I wanted to go next. So the book was effectively for reflection so I could decide where I wanted to go with my life.
Right. A therapy session.
The book just happened to become that thing.
A juggernaut. Many people have said, of course, Setting the Table was the first book for me at least, it gave us language.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those books you read and you're like, that's how I feel. That's
Yes.
how I feel, but
Yeah,
you didn't know how to articulate it. And Unreasonable Hospitality is
It's like the sequel.
the sequel.
Yeah.
And how beautiful that, you worked at. I don't think it probably would have happened if you hadn't worked at USHG. Did you have any idea? Because I really believe that book is a cultural zeitgeist.
Oh man, thank you.
No, I mean, because it's a universal language, right? It's about connection with people, the joy and the reward of doing more than you need to.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea what that book would become?
No.
I mean, it is now the handbook where I do coffee and culture at all of our restaurants, and we always hand it out setting the table. And now everywhere I go, real estate developers, hoteliers,
Yeah.
finance. Oh yeah, my boss just gave me a copy of Unreasonable Hospitality.
No, it's wild. I don't take it for granted. I feel incredibly fortunate. And I think it's just honestly, I think it's great. Whether I wrote the book or someone else wrote the book.
Yeah,
The idea that people in all these industries are thinking about this right now.
Correct.
It's awesome.
Hospitality is going to save the world, I'm convinced.
I do believe right now more than ever, the human moments need to be as human as humanly possible.
I said the other day, the more disconnected we become through technology,
Yeah.
irony intended there,
Yeah.
the more people are going to crave meaningful, hospitable connection.
And I mean, you see it in whether it's the digital transformation now being just turbocharged
Right.
through AI. By the way, not just the disconnection that will result in, but the uncertainty that it
Sure.
presents.
Yeah.
Whether it's almost part and parcel, the hybrid remote working that is happening almost across industry. Whether it's the division in our country right now,
which is so sad.
I think you can really. I don't mean this in a. I really don't think I'm overstating this. If you come up with a list of all the things, the headwinds that we're facing, the challenges we're experiencing, I think hospitality is a big part of the solution to every single one of them.
Amen. And I think that I'm not sure that McDonald's will have human beings in the next 5 years. I think where the hospitality space we're in is only going to become more important.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And we're seeing it like just small trickles, even like we're getting more resumes than we've gotten in a long time. Praise the Lord. I was at Oku in Germantown last night, and our assistant manager said, we're finally staffed and we're stable. And it's been a long, was the case. Nashville's a city that's booming. There's lots of places to work. You told me when we had dinner in Vegas, and I was fascinated by this, you went to the Middle East to talk about Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you go?
I was in Abu Dhabi. Because they call it the Yellow Book.
The Yellow Book.
That's what they call it there. But the Crown Prince of the UAE, it's required reading for everyone in the government there.
Oh, my God. Did you hear that, people? The required reading. I mean, how does that make you feel? That's nutty.
Here's the thing. Awesome.
Yeah.
And yet, I don't know, Danny used to say this thing about the restaurants were never as good as they say we are. We're never as bad as they say we are.
Right.
But I look at the book like a restaurant. Like, the book is filled with my lessons, things I've learned either through my experience or through things I've learned from other people.
Right.
I'm a custodian for an idea. And the day I start thinking like I'm hot shit because people want to read my book is the day that I lose myself in the process. Like,
Yeah.
I presented a collection of ideas and people are resonating with it. And I think it's,
At such
and
a
this
good
is not
level.
false humility. I'm not trying to like put it on. Like,
Will, I know that.
like I
know
really,
that. But I think that's why the book, because you are who you are, is why the book is resonating.
but I also, now what I get to do, I get to go all around the world
I know.
and talk about the thing that I am more passionate about than anything else in the
How
entire
great is
world.
that?
And that I feel so lucky. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's just awesome. And I think like in our restaurants, I know you believe this to be true. The greatest reward is when you feel you're making an impact on the people that walk through the doors.
No question.
That you're like changing the channel for them.
Yeah.
Or just turning up the volume.
Yeah.
And I don't get to make that kind of impact right now. But gosh, the impact is just so scalable. And that's really gratifying.
Yeah. When you speak, because you do it probably better than anybody.
I appreciate that.
Simon's good.
Simon's very good.
He's really good. You know, when we came out of COVID and the first time I could get managers back in a room, we got the Start With Why workbook.
Yeah.
Because so many people had left. And I'm like, why are you still here?
Let's take it from the top.
Let's, he's powerful. I would argue you're just as good, if not better. Is it a skill that you work on? I do some public speaking, probably more than the average person, but not what you're doing. But is it a gift or is it a skill?
I think like most things, it's maybe a little bit of a gift.
Okay.
I think we're probably back to superpowers. We're all uniquely set up to succeed in certain things.
Yeah.
Like my good friend, I was just talking about Adam LaRoche. Like, how did he become a Major League Baseball player? I think he's gifted as an athlete,
Right.
but he worked his ass off.
Sure.
If people are paying me to go speak, I'm going to work really, really hard to be the best possible speaker I can be. And I'm going to study it and pursue it like a craft. It's a muscle. It's a practice. In the same way that I think anyone who's successful, that's the approach we all take to whatever it is that we're doing.
Right.
And I thrive off trying to get a little bit better at whatever I'm doing every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm able to put in the reps right now, which is cool.
You ever going to do a restaurant again?
I don't know.
I know a lot of people ask me that when they find out I know you. And
I mean, I might. I think if the right thing were to come around.
Right. That would be hard at your stage though, man. That would be ballsy,
But I wouldn't. I can say this with confidence. I will not open an independent, freestanding, very high end fine dining restaurant.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not for no other reason than I've been blessed with a second chapter that's very different from the first, and I'm really enjoying that.
Right.
I enjoy the fact that I get to do something new. I just wouldn't want to do the same thing that I did before. But I love restaurants.
Yeah, I do too, man.
I love restaurants so much.
Yeah.
I love serving people. Even more than that, honestly, I love leading the team.
Yeah.
I love pre-meal. I love
the
leading
best 30
pre-meal.
minutes of the day, man.
I mean, it's just my favorite. Like, I do my newsletter pre-meal now as an outlet, and I love doing it, but it's not the same, right?
Right.
So I will never say never on that. But I also won't force it. It needs to feel
right.
It needs to feel right.
Okay. It's neat to talk with you and to see the different avenues your life. You wrote a song.
I wrote a song.
You wrote a song and you sent it to me when we were in Vegas, and I loved that. You ended up in the Bear.
Yeah.
And you shared with me at that dinner that maybe some more TV
Well, so now I write and produce on that show as well, which is so fun.
It's such a good show.
I mean,
The first season was like a panic attack. And
I know.
was like, can we get to the? Can we stop screaming? Can we just do that? You're giving me anxiety.
Now that's fun to work on. Brian Canlis works with me now.
Yep.
So Brian Canlis moved to Nashville. We work together. I get to go to work with one of my best friends every single day.
That's cool.
We're designing the new baseball stadium in Vegas. So that's one of our projects.
And how did that come about?
I mean, that was another bizarre,
right.
But like literally, like we get to design a stadium and all the suites and the experience and like what do we wish going to a baseball game felt like?
Right.
I just made a new deck of playing cards.
I saw that.
Which is my, like, what do I wish playing cards were? And so it's a slight riff where it's like kind of where conversation decks and playing cards intersect. Right.
You're like the Will Guidara creative studio now.
So that's what we get to do.
Right.
So like,
right.
I'm writing books. The Field Guide is coming out next year, which is going to be super fun. The Bear, we're working on season 5 of The Bear now. I do the speaking. A couple people on my team do these training workshops. They go around the country and do these day-long Unreasonable Hospitality workshops. We do Welcome. We do the Summit. And then we have this arm where we just do cool shit.
I love that.
But it's all centered around the unifying philosophy, which is like hospitality is being creative and intentional in pursuit of relationships.
I love when you say that. I've heard you say that often.
And if you take that
pursuit of relationships
and focus it on different parts of life, it's pretty cool what you can come up with.
Yeah. So you've moved to Nashville. A couple more questions as usual. We're over time, but whatever. You've moved to Nashville. You love it here?
I love it.
Yeah. It's such a great town.
People ask me if I miss New York. And I love New York.
Right.
But in the same way, people ask me if I miss being in restaurants. I loved being in restaurants. Right. I don't miss either, only because I love where I am and what I'm doing. And I think like different seasons in life call for different things. And I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
That's awesome.
And this is where I'm meant to live and raise them right now.
It's a good place.
And we have awesome community. I have a nice house with a beautiful yard, and I can walk to get a slice of pizza. I leave for the airport 55 minutes before the flight takes off.
Right.
And there's an energy in this city.
There is.
With there's this intersection of good, fun, great people who are also ambitious and creative.
Right.
And some places I've lived, the ambition takes pole position.
Right.
Over, I don't know, just generally fun, awesome people, you know?
Yeah. Survival of the fittest a little bit.
So we love it here.
I love that. Okay. I've got a few questions that I always ask every guest.
Okay.
Because I could sit here for hours. Thank you.
I'm enjoying this conversation.
This is good. You know, I love that. Like I had no idea where it would go. And I didn't want to like do the normal Will Guidara interviews.
Thank you.
Tell me about your, which is great. And you got to do all of that stuff. Couple more. What's it? So Christina Tosi is your wife.
Yeah.
And she created the greatest ice cream in the history of man. You guys are like a power couple, right? I mean, seriously, right? I mean, you're two of the most visible folks in hospitality. What's that like? You've got two very driven people.
Yeah.
How do you guys balance?
The first part, I mean, she puts even less stock in any of that than I do. Like,
right.
I think we're just
I know.
You know?
I know. I know.
The two driven people, you know, and it's hard. I'm not gonna and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
I love that I'm married to this woman who is so wildly inspiring and unbelievably creative, and God, she can run circles around me when it comes to work ethic and all. She
Right.
is just a beast. And somehow, in addition to that, is an amazing mom and one of the most caring and loving friends. And it took me a minute in the beginning of our relationship to remember that that's one of the many things that drew me to her was the fact that she's doing amazing things in the world. And I get a little bit less of her because of it.
Yeah.
In the same way that she gets a little bit less of me because of what I do.
Right.
And I think when you learn to embrace that and then really lean into the time you have together, I get to be really proud of my wife and feel very loved by my wife. And it's just about recognizing that it's just not, I have friends whose wives, their lives begin and end with their friend.
Right.
Or with my friend, right? And vice versa. I have friends that are women whose husbands don't have a career they're obsessed with.
Right.
Who the sun rises and sets with their wife. And knowing that my wife has a career that she's also really passionate and obsessed with in the same way that I do.
Yeah.
It's not always easy, and it is the most unbelievably fulfilling and rewarding relationship.
It appears what a.
But when I was going around speaking about the book in the beginning, especially, you get to Q&A, and one of the first questions would always be about her, which is just the best thing ever. I would always joke I should have signed the book Christina Tozzi's husband, Unreasonable Husband.
That's great, though. That's great that you all have that.
Yeah.
Okay, rapid fire. What does the word hospitality mean to you?
I mean, I shared my favorite definition right now already.
Right.
It's being intentional and creative in pursuit of relationships.
What are you most afraid of?
Oof. Right now, I'm most afraid of saying yes to so many cool opportunities that are being put in front of me that I wake up and feel like I've missed important seasons with my children.
I'm going through that a little bit right now, too.
Yeah.
That's tough. What's your hope for the hospitality industry?
Hospitality industry meaning however
Where are we going?
But I mean restaurants and hotels or
everything. Yeah, restaurants and hotels. Anything you want. Just having, you and I both have come through generational seasons of our industry. There was a big correction with Me Too, as there needed to be. Then we had a pandemic. Now we're, finally, I would say we're out of the post-pandemic years.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see in the industry?
Right now, a vast majority of the people I talk to are having a hard time. Owners, like my friends who are restaurateurs, it's hard right now. And I think there's a lot of people who look at all of what AI will bring as a threat or antithetical.
Yeah.
And my hope is that a lot of this technology is actually the thing that we've needed for a very long time to unlock some of the challenges that our industry faces.
Right.
I think any leader, and this is not just restaurants, but across industry, is going to get to make a choice over the next few years, which is, do they use all of the incredible tools that will soon be available to us to replace every human being, or to, yes, streamline their operations to a certain extent, and as a tool to make the people on their team even more human, to give them the ability to be even more gracious and warm and connective. And I think for the people in our industry who choose that latter path, I think some of these tools could finally be the unlock that allows restaurants to hopefully make a little bit more money, to pay their people a little bit better. Like the hopeful, optimistic side of me is looking forward to some of the innovations that are coming from the tech space as maybe the unlock we've always needed.
Right. Yeah, I'm not afraid of AI. I think we're fine.
I think that embracing it actually could.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. Okay, couple more. The PR people wanted me to ask you, because I don't know when you at restaurants, this time of year, it's always what do you think the trends will be for 2026? So important. I got big importance from Peyton. What are you most looking forward to in 2026?
Okay, so it's articulated in such a way where I don't have to answer the trends question, which I appreciate. I'm looking forward to going to Disney World with my kids in 26 for the very first time.
Do the VIP guide.
I'm going to do the whole thing.
I've got a guide, Emma. She's amazing.
Okay, I'm going to hit you up.
Thank you. The only way. This is the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. And she is. I tried to hire her away from Disney to be. I wanted her to be the director of surprise and delights, and she got scared.
Oh,
she was like, "I'm afraid I can't live up." I'm like, "You work at Disney."
You got it.
Emma.
By the way, I learned something about Disney the other day, that if a kid hugs Mickey Mouse can't let go first. I just think that's beautiful.
That is so good.
Not just Mickey, but any of the characters.
No,
I'm looking forward to 26 being a year that, and I'm going to answer it personally because I agree with you, and I apologize to the PR people who wanted you to ask it.
Yeah,
the
we love our PR.
I can't answer those anymore. I feel it's hard for me, but I'm looking forward to next year being a year where I'm a bit more present as a dad, a bit more available as a friend, and yet with those two things, still able to be as abundantly passionate as possible about my work.
That's beautiful. Anything you want to leave behind in 2025?
Oof.
I want to leave behind some anxiety. I worry too much. Imposter syndrome. I'm going to blow this all up. I struggle with that a lot.
I would like, I'm going to say this in a different way, but it'll make sense. I want more space. I feel like there's too many days where I'm waking up and just sprinting until the end. And I feel I've lost in this last season the space for contemplation and reflection and thinking that will actually give way to the things I want to do next.
To more creativity, right? I like to go on solo trips sometime. Like I'll go to Montana. I went to Montana, got on a horse for 5 days into Yellowstone.
Just you?
With a guide, away from no phones. They don't work.
Yeah.
God, I was
isn't it amazing?
After about 36 hours, that's about what it takes on a vacation for me to where I'm totally I'm just vibrating at a lower level.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's so, it's so the thing. I have a gift for you, but I love you. You're the best.
I love you too.
And I've so enjoyed, it's very affirming and validating to watch you, to see what's happened in your world, Unreasonable, The Bear, and the humility and grace in which you walk through the world is really beautiful.
Thank you, man. By the way, the same is true in return.
Well, thank you.
No, I mean it. It's They're the people in our industry that I'm very proud to call friends, and you sit very high up on that list.
Ah,
Thank you for having me.
thank you. We have this thing. Okay, so this is a cast iron company called
Dude.
Smithy out of Charleston.
Okay.
So
I mean, the packaging is freaking
Yeah.
gorgeous.
so it is a big ass cast iron, and your name is on the back of it.
Dude,
So
thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
man. Hold on, I want to look at it. I want to open it up.
Yeah, open it.
Dude, we are just literally, hopefully in the next month, we got the house 2 doors down from us,
And,
which is going to be Brian in my office. And
cool.
come on, dude, this is awesome.
I mean, what do you give Will Guidara?
No, this is it. This is gorgeous.
It's cool.
Thank you so
No,
much.
You're welcome.
I love this. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was one hella good episode. The man, the myth, the legend, Will Guidara. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw. If you did, share it with a friend. We're on all the major platforms, and we will see you next time on Say Grace. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Say Grace, Food for Thought and Hospitality. We hope you join us next time as we continue to dive deeper into the inspirational stories about the transformative power of hospitality.